There we go. So this is, I just realized that we hadn't started the recording when we did the introduction, just like Ruth said. So we're here for the Come Together online exhibit artist talk. I'd like to begin today with a land acknowledgement. As organizers and participants in this online gathering, we are joining one another from many different communities and territories across Canada and the world. The Canadian Encaustic Conference is committed to supporting equity, accessibility, inclusion, and respectful collaboration with the arts community. Today, I'm speaking from Owen Sound, Ontario, located on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe Nation and the peoples of the Three Fires, known collectively as the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations. We also acknowledge the Chippewas of Saugeen and the Chippewas of Nawash, known collectively as the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, as traditional keepers of this land. We offer gratitude for the opportunity to gather and create and share stories on this land.
Connection is at the heart of both art making and community. Come Together is an online exhibition presented by the Canadian Encaustic Conference that explores the ways that many artists create connection through materials, ideas, histories, memories, relationships, and shared experiences. Some artists approach the theme literally, others interpreted it metaphorically or emotionally. Together, the exhibition reflects a diverse range of voices, processes, and perspectives within the encaustic community. We are thrilled by the response to the exhibition and grateful to every artist who submitted work. Today, we'll hear from a selected group of artists whose pieces reflect a broad range of techniques, themes, and interpretations of connection. Following each presentation, we'll briefly pause for questions and comments from the audience.
The artists joining us today are participating from across Canada, the US, and Serbia. Some works explore memory, place, family, identity, or community, while others approach connection through materials. Sorry, I'm just keep letting people in. Where was I? Some works, no, I just said that. While others approach connection through materials, symbolism, process, and personal narrative. We've asked each artist to speak briefly about their artwork, their interpretation of the theme, and aspects of their process or inspiration. Following each artist's presentation, we'll open the floor for a few questions and comments before moving to the next speaker. So let's get started. So our first artist is Umbreen Hassan from Minnesota. And Ruth is going to share a screen here. So Umbreen, yep, you've unmuted yourself. Perfect.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. This is your artwork title, Luminescence.
Yeah, so I'm a self-taught artist, and I'm actually located in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I've been doing encaustic for around 12 years or so. I didn't know much about the medium, so I saw it online, and I like challenges, so this was something I really liked to try. I'm actually a physician, a rheumatologist, and that's my profession. But I actually cut down in order to work more on my artwork. And I used to live in New Zealand, so most of my artwork is inspired by water and nature. And I incorporate nature into my artwork. So tidal luminance is actually based on the conference title, Coming Together. It's more about life. So over here, what we see is these are different phases of life. I know there are like layers of encaustic, and then remove some of the layers to see underneath. But over here, whenever a person is going to stand in front of this artwork and look at it, if you look at the sky, I don't know if it shows very well, but on this side, not on the black side, but on the other side, there is actually gold over there. So what that shows is that there's sunlight, and that shows hope, that there's always hope in your life. On the other hand, some people might be grieving and they might be in a darker place, and that's what the dark clouds show. But there's always this hope that, the dark clouds will actually move away, and then you will have sunshine and the golden colors coming in into your life, because life is dynamic, it's not static. The water is more about memory and movement, uh, and trust. You know that when a wave comes, it always goes, and then it will come back. The tide will come and go. You know it will always happen. So that is trust. You know this will keep on happening. So that's how in life, there are certain things we trust. There's movement in life. It's not static. Things change, and you should move with that movement. And there are memories when you stand in front of the water. Every person will have a different memory related to water. Some people might have childhood memories. I have memories of New Zealand. I used to live on the beach, and my son was 4 years old. We used to go at low tide to the beach, and we used to collect starfish and have a look at them, and next day release them back in water. So every person will have something different kind of a memory. And then when you look at the beach, it has a lot of incorporation of, I may just pick this up, you might be able to see it better. So it has a lot of incorporation of, you have these grasses over here, and then you have stones and other things incorporated into the artwork, so you can see it closer. So this just shows different uh, parts of your life, and just ups and downs and how things move in your life. So I just tried to I started this painting as a seascape, and then it kept on changing. And in the end, I never make any, I don't do sketches or anything. I don't take out colors to use. I don't make palettes. It's a very immersive kind of process for me, because when I started painting, I had a really traumatic experience. I had a car accident, and I had memory loss at that time, and my medical license was on hold. So for 6 months or so, I didn't know whether I would work or not. And at that time, I started painting on my own. So I realized that it has a very strong therapeutic, uh, you know, benefit. And I work with, as a rheumatologist, I work with chronic illnesses like lupus and rheumatoid. And I tell my patients, don't think about other people. Do whatever you want to do with painting. So this is something which just incorporated all the memories together of life together. And it actually moved not as a single snapshot, but the entire life, which was a process of memories and movement for different people. And I just hope whoever sees this painting, they feel they have good memories, and they have hope out of this painting. And that was the main aim in the end, to make this painting.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions, comments for Umbreen? Just unmute yourself, because we can't see the gallery right now. I love the colors and the luminescence of the sky and the water, and that
Thank you.
yeah, that just the contrast that exists between black line of the skyline and the bright turquoise in the water.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any comments, questions? Just unmute yourself if you do.
Okay. Oh, I just wanted to say that I love that idea of um the flow of the water and letting things go and it coming back. That's just so beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually, when I was in New Zealand, from all of our windows, including the kitchen, we were right across the road from the Pacific Ocean, and we could see dolphins. And yes, the color of the water changes, with the sun. If the sun is not there, sometimes it looks really bad, and dark and gloomy. But New Zealand has a lot of sun, and I would stand there and I would just look how pretty it is that, you have you have the surf and the tide going back and coming and going. It is so regular. And then at times you would have the full moon. And me and my husband would just sit there at the beach and look, because the full moon, just like in Calgary, the moon looks really big, right? So it would look like a ball, like a silver ball, and then it would go down and it would disappear. It was the most beautiful sight I have ever seen. And then the Milky Way, because we were on the beach, it was very dark. So with the naked eye, we could see the Milky Way over the ocean. And these are memories, which as an artist, they're embedded in your mind. And when you're painting, at times they just come out. And I have this really bad tendency that when my painting is about to be sold, I right at the end I tell them I don't want to sell this painting. And the reason is I'm emotionally attached to all my paintings, because it's always due to some emotion. But yes, thank you very much. Yes, the water has a beautiful flow. Yes.
Thanks so much. So the next presenter is Melanie Emerson, and they're from Maple Ridge, British Columbia, and they are presenting about their artwork roots.
Okay, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
my mic was muted. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, hi. Okay, thank you so much for including me. This is actually the first exhibit that I've ever submitted work for, so I feel pretty blessed for this opportunity. So I'm speaking to my piece, Roots. This is an exploration of my connection with my maternal grandmother. Both my mom and her family were born in Bari, Italy, and came over in the late 70s to Canada. As such, because of her citizenship, she was able to apply for citizenship for both my sister and myself. And as such, I'm eligible to vote on politics that don't actually affect my life. And every once in a while, I get these ballots in the mail, and I feel conflicted because voting is so important, but I don't know enough about the politics there to participate. So I had these ballots, and they had expired. And when I was contemplating creating a piece for this exhibit, I had I had shredded all of these pieces, and they all came out not quite straight and not quite even. But I really wanted to use them. And while I was weaving them together, I wove them together in a crosshatch pattern. I spent a lot of time thinking about my family and about my connection growing up in Canada, up north British Columbia, and this family that we have in this other country, so far away, that felt so close, and just really living in that. And what I found was that as I was weaving the pieces together and they were uneven, it just created a sense of complexity about how I feel about my family, how I feel about my connection to my family here, and my family in Italy. And I just felt like it did a good job at representing the uneven path that I feel about that. Um, I discovered encaustic probably about 16 years ago. And I started playing around with it for myself after I took my first workshop in 2014. Um, since then, I've had life stuff. I have two small kids, so I don't get to my studio very often. But over the last 6 months, I've spent quite a bit of time down here. And I just thought this was a great opportunity for me to connect back with the medium again, and show a bit of mixed media as well. So these are all papers. I adhered them down with some yes paste, and then put several layers of wax over top. And then in all of the little, I'm not sure, I can't see myself on the camera, so I can't see what you see. But what I love about encaustic is the ability for this glass-like surface with these little pockets, these little holes, and instead of trying to erase these holes or make it as smooth as possible, I like to go in with some oil sticks and really highlight them, because I think that it just creates a little bit more interest in the artwork.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Melanie. We just have to be aware of the time because we do
Yeah.
have a lot of presenters today. Are there any questions or comments for Melanie? You can also throw them in the chat too. Well, not throw them, type them nicely. Yeah, we loved your other one too, and we were trying to decide what one to ask you to speak about, and they're just yeah. So go on the website and look at the catalog, and you'll see that family history that shows up in both of Melanie's submitted work.
I'd like to say something. I really appreciate that you took these ballots, and rather than just discarding them, you took the time to think about it and to say you don't know anything about the politics over there, but you're making a statement about your own family history, the politics of your own family history by using these documents and the different colors and the weaving of the past with the present. I think it's very effective.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sharon. It's good to see you. Okay, so let's just move on. Not just, but let's move on. Just I'm being aware of the time. So the next is Michelle, and I'm gonna butcher your last name, even though I was in French immersion. Uh, Len Lentien. Am I close? And they're from Hudson, Quebec, and their artwork is Unknown Rhythms. I think I saw you on here, Michelle. Or Michelle. Yeah, so I'm just gonna
Okay.
yeah, here.
Hi, Amelia. Yeah.
Oh, I think you're on here twice,
Okay.
which is the feedback or
Is
the
it better?
um what one? I'm just gonna have you I'm gonna remove this one.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. So yeah, well, like I said in the statement I sent to you, is it's always difficult to put things together. You need awareness, and you need to put some efforts. But this one, I just want to talk about not really the connection, personal connection, but mostly how I did this work. So if I could just show you my installation. Okay, I don't know if you see it. Can you see it?
No, we can't see it. Right now,
Sorry.
Ruth is sharing the screen. Yeah, I think we've lost you, Michelle.
Okay, she's frozen.
I think she's trying to reconnect. So as she does that, are we okay to move on to you, Ruth, and then we'll
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Whoops. I get the direction of these slides right. Okay. So I'm Ruth Maud, and I'm from Toronto, Canada.
Okay. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just, do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Yes.
you.
Okay. Ça marche pas. Hein? Okay.
So while we're waiting, Michelle, we're gonna hear from Ruth, and then you can get yourself
Est-ce que
sorted.
tu peux m'entendre? Do you hear me?
Yes.
I don't hear you. Bon, je vais quitter là.
Okay, I think she quit. That's what she said, right? Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah, Ruth, there you go.
Okay. I'll talk, and then when she comes back in, she can go next. Okay, so this is a vessel that I created. I used creative paper clay and formed it over a bowl. And then when it was dry, I built up lots of layers of encaustic. And it's got lots of accretion on it. So there's lots of layers and layers built up. And what I like about the concept of this bowl for the Come Together exhibition is that it is always changing what's in it. So I call it pocket treasures because when I'm out for a walk with my dog in the fall, I'll find these beautiful things from nature, pine cones, and I don't even know what that is. But I'll find these beautiful things and they've got gorgeous texture and they just, a lot of maybe a chestnut shell, I don't know. There's some leaves in here and pods. And it's just things that I've collected. When I empty out my pockets, I get to put them in here and they are reminders of nature and they come together here. But then I'm amazed that so many times when people see this, like people come into the house for book club or something, and they're like, they reach in and they pick it up and they hold the things in their hands. And I think it's a universal experience that we see something cool in nature that's got texture and beautiful colors, and we tend to pick it up. And certainly as children, we did that. And then the accretion, the building up of layers and layers, that is something that happens in nature, is layers of soil build up. And I just like how the accretion texture and the texture of the natural elements goes together. And it's sort of an ever-changing story what's in here because some things might start to look shabby and get tossed away and something new come in to the bowl. So over time, these different things come together and it also brings people together as other people see the things that I've collected and they hold them in their hand for a moment. So.
Thanks, Ruth. Does anyone have any questions, comments for Ruth? Just unmute yourself or put it in the chat and I'll read it out.
I have a question about the bowl, Ruth. You said you formed it. Is it all the beeswax with the bowl?
No, it's creative paper clay.
Paper clay. Okay, that's
Yeah, so you can buy like at Michael's or somewhere creative paper clay, and then you can just roll it out with a rolling pin. And then I just like I had a metal bowl and I formed it. Actually, I think there's a blog post on my blog about making this bowl on
okay.
all things encaustic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just had a bowl and I just formed the paper clay over the bowl and left it to dry.
Yeah.
So that, and it was fairly thin, and then I just built up a lot of layers of wax on top.
It's very charming. I love it.
It also has some pan pastel on it, some colored wax, and some pan pastel at the end.
Thanks, Colleen and Ruth. You can also make your own paper clay. There's some recipes online too. Okay, any other questions?
Lindsay's asking in the chat, how do you get so much texture on the surface of the bowl? So that's encaustic accretion. So what I'm doing is brushing it on and fusing it gently with an embossing hot air tool so that I'm not getting it really smooth. Like I'm not using a torch or something that would get it very smooth. And then when I brush on the next layer, I'm doing it so that it's just sort of hitting the high spots of that texture. And then I gently fuse that. And then I just repeat that over and over again. So it's building up texture. The inside is, here, dump everything out. There we go. The inside is fairly smooth actually. So I scraped the inside and I used probably the torch in the inside so that I could get the inside smoother and have the contrast of the texture on the outside. And I wanted the bottom to be smooth. So that I may have even ironed. So that yeah, you know what I did? So I built up the texture and then I took the iron to the whole thing so that it would be flat raised texture. And then and then at the top I used the iron so that the top is really flat all the way around. But then you get these beautiful little, it's hard to see, but you get these little kind of circles of the different colors of the wax. And then I did the pan pastel over the whole thing.
Thanks so much, Ruth.
Okay.
So the next presenter is Michael Mira. I'm going to pronounce it.
Mirabito. That's close enough.
Mirabito.
No, it's been called everything under the sun, so that's fine. I guess I've come to this in a sort of a different angle. I do photography. I'm a photographer, and a number of years ago, in my work, I had a chance and opportunity to work with a group and met Holocaust survivors and also servicemen from the U.S. who freed camps and gave me some like insights about that history. And to me, this picture, photo encaustic picture, I should say, is a link or connection between the past and the present. It's also a connection between these people and the events. And I turned to encaustics because I wanted a different way to express what I thought when I took some of these pictures. And encaustic gave me that ability, that capability. One of my other pictures that's in the show is from Auschwitz, and it's torn pieces that sort of express how I felt when I took that original image. This particular picture is of Nuremberg, the site of the Nazi torch marches. And it's the one of the still existing buildings there. And to me, I started on this a number of times, but I wasn't able to get what I really wanted until in Charlottesville, Virginia, there was a white supremacist march, the famous Tiki Torch March, which on face value sounds tiki torches, but it was a white supremacist march. It was horrific. And to me, that's a direct link between that evil and the evil of the 1930s that this building represents. And to me, that's people who want to, in a sense, attempt to silence the light in the world and just turn it into darkness. And that's to me what the bottom um, lack of light crawling up that building is. And so, it gave me a different way to express and join it with my photography. And one last thing, I do apologize for Trump to all the Canadians people out there. I am sorry. I offer my apology.
That's actually very Canadian of you to apologize.
That's okay. Thank you.
Do we have any questions or comments for Michael? Both of your pieces are very profound and very impactful, so we appreciate
Thank
you
you.
submitting to this exhibit.
The it almost looks like people climbing up the side. Is it just the texture?
Yes, it's a texture. I was able to manipulate it and played with it. Like I said, this took a while to get through to get the way I wanted it to look. And yeah, it is the texture just building up, building up, building up more texture, like layer by layer.
Donna says her comment is very moving piece. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments for Michael?
I wanted to say something. I also apologize for the lack of leadership in our country and the incredible racism and every other ism that's going on here. When I looked at this, I also thought they were people, like Joe said.
Hmm.
And I thought they were military people climbing up, and it reminded me of not that they were military, but January 6th climbing
Hmm.
up the building. It
Hmm.
reinforced that to me and just how justice in our world, regardless of location, is very fragile and very precious, and we see it over and over again. So
Right.
that's what I saw. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Sharon. So the next presenter is Cherie. Is it Cherie or Sherry? Oh, hands back. So unmute your
It's Sherry.
Sherry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. And this
Yes.
is your piece, what remains?
Okay. I'm actually in my car right now because our power went out. So I live at Lake of the Ozarks, which is a very popular tourist destination. And so many people are in town that it knocked our power out in our area. So my piece includes some of the driftwood from the Lake of the Ozarks. That's in the center. So this was an experimental piece for me on using some of the materials. So I covered the entire wood substrate with plaster gauze. And then I began creating a bunch of those vessels, kind of pod shaped, various shapes and dimensions that hold different ones. This is a series of 5 that I'm creating. And it started with, because I walk along and I find a lot of things on the ground, like rusty items, because we travel a lot in our recreational vehicle and I always go into truck stops, things like that. There's a lot of rusty pieces of metal that I find along the roadside, things like that. So the Industrial Revolution, which was I don't know, between 1760 and 1840, roughly. It was transitioning from the farmers and hand production of things to the modern day machines. And it just kind of changed the whole society of America, anyways. And there's a lot of this rusty items now that are part of that. So that's kind of my thought on doing this process. So letting the vessels then are holding, this one specifically has some palm fronds, again from my travels, because they're not in the Midwest, but they are at the bottom of each of the vessels, and they're surrounded by some silk cocoons. And all the vessels, the entire substrate, including the driftwood, is covered with the wax, the beeswax and resin. And I also have stitched with wire and attached, so they're all linked together, of each of the vessels that's all along the curved natural shape of the driftwood. So I don't know, you have to kind of zoom in because each one of those has a piece of the rusty metal that is intertwining all of those. So it captures some of they hold time and memory and what endures beneath the surface, I guess.
Thanks, Sherry. And I do invite everyone after the Zoom session to go on to the website and look at the catalog, and you'll be able to zoom in on all of these pieces and really see them in detail. Do we have any questions or comments for Sherry? And what are the white pieces within the pods? Remind me that.
They're silk cocoons.
Okay.
I had purchased an entire box of those. So sometimes you see them used, I think on the outside, they're meant to put on your tips of your fingers and rub your skin with them. I'm not exactly sure.
Sharon says, very thoughtful process. Lindsay says, love this. Okay, thanks so much, Sherry. So we'll move along. Oh, and Lonnie says, great execution. Okay, so we'll move along to Michelle Platt, and they're joining us from Saskatoon. Are you on, Michelle? I don't see her in the list right now. Okay, so we'll move along, and if Michelle joins again, I thought she was here. If she joins again, then we'll just let her in. So next we'll hear from Donna Towers from Edmonton and her piece Held in Common. So
Thanks, yep. Amelia. I think I'm unmuted.
Yep, you're good.
Yeah. Well, I came to art later in life, and I now cannot imagine not doing something artistic. And my art practice is certainly opposite to my former career as a healthcare executive. I started out with my own photography, and then I was introduced to encaustic by Sherry Bartlett. And then more recently, in the last year, I've begun working with paper, sculpting it. And that's what brought me to the piece that I submitted to this. It's called Held in Common, and it's part of an ongoing sculptural series that I've been developing. And all of the works take forms from nature, either pods or cocoons, like the one just before me, Sherry, cocoons. And I build them from handmade paper, encaustic, thread, and other mediums. And what draws me to these are their holding space. A cocoon for me is a structure that exists specifically for transformation. So this one's a sculptural cocoon. It's layers of translucent handmade paper. I treat the handmade paper with kanayaku, which is a Japanese starch. It gives it strength. It's wound and wrapped and sealed in encaustic wax, and then there's some threads woven through it. So paper on its own is fragile, but when it's layered and treated, like I said, with starch, it becomes strong. And then the encaustic has been part of my practice for a long time. I had the pleasure of going to the first Canadian Encaustic Conference last year in Owen Sound and saw what everybody was doing. And that just reaffirmed my love of encaustic. But when you use it with the paper, like I have here, it penetrates and changes and makes it more translucent. Um, the thread is really just stitched along in certain burned areas. I burn the holes in the paper with incense. And I think the thread is just a visible record of the joining of all the pieces together. So the materials kind of speak to me, the theme come together because all of the materials are held together and each one is something different, but it all becomes part of the whole. And looking at the call for the exhibition, what does it mean to come together? I started thinking of it not just as an event, but more structurally. So the cocoon to me suggests that coming together is sometimes invisible. It happens in the quiet, the in between, and the transformation doesn't announce itself, it just unfolds. So I hope when you look at this piece, you feel something that I felt when I was making it, that a quiet sense, things gathered, supported, coexisting, all come together. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Donna. Do you have any questions, comments for Donna? It's great to meet you at the conference last year.
It was a pleasure, Amelia.
So Lonnie says, very well articulated, beautiful piece. Lindsay hearted it. Oh, Natasha hearted it. Colleen says she likes or lovely, and then Sharon says, I really like the various textures.
Thank you.
Donna, I played a little bit with Kanyaku, and I want to explore it more and how it changes the washi paper. But
Correct.
have you found that it changes the way that the paper absorbs the wax?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Especially if you double coated it. And
Okay.
if you do anything like mamagami, which is using the
Yeah.
paste and then kneading it, that makes it almost it's almost like water repellent is how they used to use it ancient Japan, but it does the wax sits more on top. And so you
That's
can
what I was
see,
afraid of.
yeah, so you can see the different textures. I don't have the piece here, but it really depends on how much you've treated it, how it responds to the wax.
Okay. So you're putting the Kanyaku on the paper before you were added the wax, not,
Correct.
yeah, okay.
I sculpt it and form it and let it dry, and then I add the wax.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much. So next we'll hear from Sarah Traynor from Ohio.
Hello. Okay, everybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi. So this piece is actually one very small piece of a large installation. So I don't have the photo, unfortunately, of the full installation on the presentation, but you can imagine about, oh, it was 68, 63 of these little tiles. They're each about 3 inches. And I had these installed on a full wall in an exhibit here in Ohio. And they've become a really big sort of new direction for me, which I loved. I was making them in springtime last year, the beginnings of this, and it's continuing now. But they were all about seeds and all of the smallest, most fragile beginnings in life, and how um, there's such a power and a gravitas to that when you see them all together, in that larger quantity. So, I felt like it was a really beautiful metaphor for the fragility of beginnings, the fragility of hope, which is something we all need right now, a lot of. And so that was kind of the basis for these pieces. And the beautiful thing was that instead of, trying to sell this as a full installation piece, I sold them each individually. So the full series did sell out, the original, and I'm continuing with more. But yeah, I had 68 different people who are now connected to this one big, beautiful network of art and nature. And I think that was just a big turning point for me in my art. Instead of having one thing go to one person, having all of these small pieces of it belong to a whole community. And I very much consider everyone who purchased one of these to be part of this little network and this little community that began this series with me. So there was just a lot of positivity and togetherness involved in these. The bases are handmade ceramic tiles that I specifically made very rough and earthy and rustic. And each one is glazed differently. And then on top of them is the encaustic piece with this one here has a wet cyanotype print that is encased in the wax. And then there's some little touches of pan pastel gold on the edges to really, bring out the edges. And some of them have more texture to them. They all, like I said, they're all very different. And the prints are eco prints and cyanotypes and sometimes other kinds of prints that I do. So it's all just sort of like I start out making a giant amount of fodder, all the materials. So I'll make all the tiles and I'll make all the little prints. And then there's this process of all of that coming together and finding the right piece, the right print to go with the right tile and making each one like a little family member of this bigger thing. And it was a really rewarding and beautiful way to be doing a whole lot of little small things, but without it feeling like a production line. Each piece really did feel like it had its own personality. So when I saw this show and the topic, I thought that this probably was the thing I've done recently that most encompassed that idea of coming together.
Very nice.
So much, Sarah.
Thank you.
Do you have a question, Colleen?
No, I'm just loving this piece.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
Yeah.
Melanie says, I love the connection of the little pieces to a larger whole. Me too. It's the concept is beautiful. And Sharon said, this is a perfect depiction of the theme. Totally agree with that.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions for Sarah? Deanne says, beautiful concept and process.
Thank you.
So you must have known, Colleen, that you were next.
I did.
So Colleen joins us from Halifax in Nova Scotia.
Okay, well, first I'd like to say thank you for inviting me as a presenter, and I have to say how much I've enjoyed looking at and listening to everybody's work. You're all very inspiring, and the title of this Come Together really resonates with me because most of the paintings that I do reflect memories, childhood, connection, and so this one, the gathered roots of colorful souls really resonated with me. I got my inspiration just one day from looking out the window and seeing a little girl coming up the street with her mother and her rain boots, and she found the puddle out by my door and continued to jump with glee and had such a great time. And it really took me back to that's something I love to do. As a child, I like walking in the rain and I liked jumping in puddles. And that caught on with my own children and my grandchildren. And so when I saw that little girl, I got the inspiration for the painting. And the tall boots, the pink ones, and the black ones actually are owned. They're mine and my husband's. We still have them. I think they're antiques now. They're so old. And I needed to make the painting. I went out to a thrift shop and picked up the other little boots because my children have grown now and put into the painting. And as I was arranging the composition, and it just reminded me of my kids when they would come in and just kick their boots off in the entranceway and that sort of thing. And so all those memories of that went into the painting. The original painting I gave to my son, who lives 4 hours from here, and so that it hangs in his house. But to have it for this presentation, I thought I should have it here in the house. And he was supposed to come down on Thursday, and his plans got changed. And so he put the painting on the bus, so it's traveled from New Brunswick to Nova Scotia to be here for the presentation. So, and my technique, I basically work on hardboard, and I use milk paint as a background, and that's my gesso. And thank you to Ruth. I learned from you about chalk paint, which I'll be exploring. The milk paint I found is, it works great. It's a lot of work to prepare though, as far as mixing it in a blender, and it's a little bit messy at times. So then I used lots of fusing, lots of layers. I used my wood burning tools to create, along with my brushes. And so that's how this one all came about. So.
Thanks so much, Colleen. Do we have any questions or comments for Colleen? I just love how the boots are like thrown around and the adult ones are nice and neat and the kids ones are.
Well, that just speaks to the personalities
I know.
Of everyone. And I wanted it colorful. I wanted, I don't have a wall that color actually, but I explored quite a bit to try to get the color included in there. So the wall color changed many, many times. There's a lot of fusing going on in that. But the little boots, after I did the painting, got donated to some kids here in the neighborhood. So they wear the boots. So I get to see the boots going up the street on small children.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
So Sharon says a snapshot of life, which is totally accurate.
Yeah, Colleen, I loved the story of this. Like, and I think so many of us thought back to when our children were young and the boots just everywhere. So I loved it. Actually, at the Encaustic Conference, I don't use chalk paint very much anymore. What I use is RNF encaustic gesso, and I pigment it with Cama aqua dispersion pigment. So I can make all my own colors. I can have the white encaustic gesso and pigment it with Cama aqua dispersion. Cama is out of Montreal. And I'm going to be demonstrating that at the Encaustic Conference in September. Little plug in there for you. Yeah.
Well, I discovered the folks in Montreal, and it's hard to get supplies here in Halifax. And so I have an order on the way. So yeah, thank you for that.
So Lindsay is asking where on the painting did you use your wood burning tool?
Oh, through a lot of it. I have different sizes that I use and different shapes. So it's a tedious product, but and my chip brushes, I use chip brushes as well, dipped into the wax. But the wood burning tool I use for, a lot of the detail, a lot of the smoothing out, a lot of the blending, and a lot of the fine detail. I have different nibs that I interchange so that I can get the different effects. It's not the fastest way to paint, but it certainly is how I approach my paintings.
Thanks so much, Colleen. And then Deanna says, capture the joy with the color and movement.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so our next presenter is Kristen Zelenka from Louisiana.
Can you hear me? Sounds like there's a little.
Yeah, you must have two devices.
Is that something you can fix on your side?
Are you connected with your phone too and your?
No, just the laptop.
Okay. Not sure.
Okay, what if I sit back? Does that help?
No. Do you have external speakers as well as your?
I'm so sorry. Let me mute and then I'll.
Okay. Oh, I'm not muted. So.
Amelia, do you want to move on and we'll come back to Kristen?
Sure. Okay. So our next presenter is Natasha Zukova, and she's presenting about her piece Lullaby.
Hello. Just a moment. I prepare my speech.
Yeah. Great to see you again, Natasha.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Natasha Zhukova. I am a mixed media and encaustic artist living and working in Serbia. I'm very happy to be part of this online exhibition and this international encaustic community. For me, the theme contact plus create is connected with human closeness, memory, and the feeling of inner support. This is what my artwork Lullaby is about. The idea for this work came from memories of my mother's embrace and the echoes my grandmother's soft lullabies. I wanted to connect memories of loved ones who are no longer near me, but who still lived inside me, as support, as values, passed from generation to generation, from person to person. This is how the relief appeared, looking both like a grandmother's shawl and wings at the same time. In the center of the piece, I placed fragments of mosaic, like sketched treasures, symbols of the inner gift we carry inside ourselves and also share with the world around us. I'm boring, sorry. English.
No, you're not boring at all. You're doing great, Natasha.
Thank you very much for support. My creative process is mostly intuitive. Usually it starts not with a clear image, but with an emotion, feeling, or inner state that slowly appears through texture and materials. I have worked with fabric for many years, and I enjoy combining with wax medium and encaustic paints. This helps me create strong texture and an almost sculpture surface. In this work, I used smolt and small pieces of stone for the first time. It was a very interesting but also difficult and time consuming process. I wanted to add a feeling of an inner core, something valuable and fragile at the same time. I also create a layered backgrounds using splashes of encaustic paints. In the final layers, I added shellac and ink to give the surface more depth and a feeling of time. I think that today many people need supportive connection with people close, inspired, yes, with family, with their roots, and also with themselves. This connection help us during anxiety and chaos in the modern world. Art gives us the possibility for this kind of connection. A viewer may recognize their own memories or emotion in the artwork and feel, I am not alone in this feeling. In this moment, real connect and support can appear. For me, creating art is not only about the visual result, but also about sharing human experience. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share my work and creative process. It means a lot to me to be part of this community and this dialogue. Thank you very much. Sorry for my English.
Oh, no, it's amazing. Thank you so much, Natasha. Are you okay with questions? I can also just read comments. I'll read comments. Donna says, I feel protection just looking at the piece. And Colleen says, love the texture. And Sharon says, the use of fabric is very successful and creates a basic foundation that many people can relate to as a shared experience. And your English was very good.
Thank you very much.
And if you didn't see Natasha's demo last year at the conference, you missed out. It was incredible. So she's coming back this year to do another demo and to lead a workshop, and I'm so excited.
If you have any question, you can ask me because I have near my son.
Okay.
He helped me.
Do we have anybody asking questions outside of the chat? Okay, thanks so much, Natasha. We really appreciate you coming so late at night.
Thank you.
So I think Kristen has her audio fixed. So we'll hear from her about her painting, and she's from Louisiana.
Okay, is this sounds good now? Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. First of all, I'm so excited. A slight silver entanglement. This is actually a larger project than just this online exhibition. I'm actually a poet, and the poem that is with this painting is going to be part of my third poetry book. But I love the idea of the way that trees and roots can communicate underground. And so you will have these old oak trees that have been around for hundreds of years, and they will send out signals to help support new saplings, or they will send out signals to warn off when other plants have diseases. And I love that idea that underneath the ground, there's this huge connection of root systems that are trying to support life. And I just thought that was a beautiful idea. And when I saw this exhibition, I just said, wow, the synchronicity here is amazing. But I'll just talk a little bit about my technique. And I have a new painting that I'm working on. This one is a gouache on vellum. And so I am using traditional gouache, but the vellum is not animal skin. It's actually just the type that you would get from a stationery store. But I love the transparency on that. And then I will fuse it eventually to the oil on wood panel. The key to this technique is you have to get the oil on wood. The oil paint has to be dry, but not too dry because then it won't adhere. So it's this timing. But yeah, I think that's it. I don't know.
Would you like
That's
to
it.
read your poem?
Sure, if y'all want to hear my voice. Beneath the soft moss and the velvet dark, where the artist creator has left her mark, a silver entanglement begins to weave the secrets only the roots believe. There is no one, no lonely oak, no tree that stands a solitary cloak. Deep in the damp, the fibers find a map of the world that is intertwined. The mushrooms rise, the crown of deep, guarding the secrets the old wood keeps. They take the rot, the grief, the gray, and they break the heavy decay. They turn the unused into new, feeding the forest with ancient dew, a silent pulse, a rhythmic beat, passing the word through the soil and feet. You are not alone, the fibers hum, to every sprout that is yet to come, a kingdom built on a shared breath, life blooming bright from the hands of death. And so this poem will definitely be included in my third poetry book. And the title of that is Breathing Through the Noir Forest. And it's this idea that we can let some of our old toxic behaviors die and then rebirth and grow into something new. So, yeah.
Thanks so much, Kristen.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
So in the chat, Gretchen says, can you explain how you are, I got to move my mouse.
Oh, yeah.
Able to seal the vellum with medium? I use
Yeah.
vellum she uses vellum a lot for her photography.
Yeah. So I'm actually not using any type of glue because I want that mirror writing to show through. And it is a very trying process. It is heating up the encaustic, which is already on the wood oil on wood panel. And I am laying the vellum down. I put parchment paper and a spoon, and I'm kind of like pushing it into the encaustic. And then once I have enough adhesion, and again, I will start at the top and work in sections all the way down. But once it's adhered in there, that's when I start putting my layers over, and I will put about 3 layers over that vellum to make sure it is not going to come off.
Thanks, Kristen.
Oh, you're so welcome.
And Sharon says, so beautiful and ethereal. I love the layering of the vellum over the background. Yes. And Gretchen thanks you for the information about adhering the vellum.
Oh, you're welcome.
Any other questions or comments for Kristen? Colleen says, great effect, and she loves the poem. Okay, so I think it was just if Michelle Plett was on here, which I still don't see her, but that's okay. So the last person we're going to hear from, it's a pre-recorded video from Alison Fullerton. She's in Europe right now, so could not join live, although if there's someone from Serbia, maybe there's no excuse. Okay, so so this is Allison's work here, and then if you stop sharing, Ruth, I'll share mine and we'll watch the video together. If I can find share. I gotta make my window bigger, maybe. There we go. And we are sharing this. Everyone can see that properly? Oh, I forgot to share sound. Hold on. Stop share. Share sound. Here we go. Okay.
Hi, I am Allison Fullerton, and thank you for including me in this artist talk. I'm sorry I can't be there live via a Zoom, but we are in France. My husband and I spend a couple months in France and Italy, and sometimes Germany and Switzerland biking. So we home base out of an apartment in France, and that's where I am right now. So I asked if I could just record a little talk and talk about my work. So that's where I am. So please bear with me because I don't have my notes in front of me, and I'm not really in a position to be able to teach this, but I can tell you what I learned and how I experimented in this process. So my new body of work is textured encaustics, where I started with Venetian plaster, and I studied Venetian plaster techniques, stucco, and fresco, and those are all different, and I'm going to talk about those. I was influenced by spending a month in Avignon, France, a couple of years ago, and in Avignon, they are known for their unusually high winds called les mistrals. So we are here to cycle, and unfortunately the winds were so strong we weren't able to bike a lot in April 2 years ago. So I spent a lot of time just walking those streets, and I took thousands of pictures of the stone walls and the aged paint and the beautiful colors. And that experience just really stuck with me. What was also kind of interesting as sort of a side note is they have a problem with graffiti. And so they are, particularly in the French cities and in Avignon, they are very intent on covering up the graffiti. And I noticed, after you've been there for several weeks, you start to notice patterns in cities. And I noticed that on Mondays, the walls would become whitewashed. So this was, I think, part of that whole aging element and the layering, which added to the patina and added to the beauty of the walls. So I set out to replicate these textures. That was my first influence. My second influence is that I'm very interested in combining ancient techniques and materials. And for me, this is the first step of doing that. So Venetian plaster, fresco, and stucco, they all have one thing in common, and that is that they start with lime mortar. And lime mortar goes by many different names. It can be lime plaster, putty, sump chalk, slaked lime, but lime mortar is simply the material that they used in the Renaissance to build walls, and it has now been replaced with cement. The big epiphany to me was that I learned that some of these, when you think of Venetian plastering, you can think of that polished surface. And some of the polished surfaces were achieved by burnishing, and some were achieved with wax. So once I knew that, it just felt very authentic to me to combine Venetian plaster with wax. The next thing that I studied was fresco, because I wanted to color and pigment the mortar and my plaster before I added the wax. How to define fresco? What is it? Fresco is a wall painting technique where pigments are painted directly onto plaster. It was very important during the Renaissance because the walls and mural paintings, which are typically figurative, they had to be durable because most of these paintings were in churches, cathedrals, castles, where they had to withstand a range of temperatures and very high humidity. So the Venetian painters were looking for something which was more durable than typical paint. I just got back from Italy, and I'm going to share some photos of frescoes that I took and some of the things that I learned. Frescoes were developed because, and they were used in the old churches and cathedrals because of the durability, because they did not crack. Even today, the oldest 500-600-year-old frescoes, if there's a crack in it, it's because the mortar has cracked. It's not the paint that cracks. If you see an old oil painting, yes, you definitely see that cracking effect that is beautiful with aged paint, but that effect does not occur in fresco. I experimented with a lot of different texture techniques and texture materials. I used the Kramer lime putty sump chalk. I didn't see that as a long-term solution for me because I live in the United States. Kramer's in Germany. It's expensive to ship, and they've closed down their New York office. Also, I was concerned about adherence because the artists who are using that put down this burlap, which I think the reason they're doing that is so that the lime plaster has something to grip to, because lime plaster is meant to be used with mortar, not on wood. So I had some concerns about that. I tried some commercial brands of lime mortar. There's all kinds of different texture recipes that you can look up on the internet. So I played around with plaster of Paris mixed with school glue, as well as Mod Podge. The Mod Podge worked great, and I had to ask my husband what it was that I used. Okay, DAP makes a couple of products which worked really well. I used joint compound, and I used DAP plaster, something or else. So I tried 5 different things. But the one question in my mind constantly as I was doing Fresco, but I couldn't ever find examples of textured frescoes with that level of relief that I was achieving. I also call these wall sculptures. That's another name for this type of work. So I'm pretty excited because when I was in Italy and I was in the Siena Duomo, the Siena Cathedral, I came across the word stucco. And stucco is the accurate term for a textured fresco. It was a huge epiphany for me, realizing that this is stucco. That I knew that my challenges in developing this body of work were 4 things: adherence, holding relief, because I wanted my work to have texture to it. I wanted to create a weathered look, so I wanted the pigmentation, the coloring, to be something that would wipe off, and mortar really absorbs pigment, so not everything would wipe off. And also release some of the materials that I used to create the texture. I wanted to use a material that would actually wipe off. So I experimented with a lot.
So that's the end of her video. I'm just going to stop sharing this, and then I'll share a cover of a book so I gotta open the file first. Where did it go? Sorry, bear with me here. So this is a cover of a book that she wanted me to share afterwards. So this one is available in English. And there was another one. Actually, there's somebody that we did ask to be on the presentation too. Yours the Leiser, who's Swiss, and I can put her information in the chat, and I'll put this book information in the chat too. And oops. For anyone that's interested. Unfortunately, we can't ask Allison questions live, but feel free to reach out to her on her socials if you have any particular questions about her process. Okay, now I gotta close that. Do we have any comments that we wanted to share about Allison's presentation with one another? Okay, thanks everyone. Okay. Before we conclude, we'd love to share a few exciting updates about the 2026 Canadian Encaustic Conference. The conference will take place September 11 through 13 in Owen Sound, Ontario, Canada. I have an eyelash that I can just see out of the corner of my eye. Again at the Bayshore Community Center, and that's on the shores of Georgian Bay. Our 2026 conference theme is Sharing Our Stories. The conference includes 3 full days of presentations and demonstrations. Actually, there's 3 concurrent ones in each time slot. The vendor room will be back again. I have someone in the waiting room. Oops. The vendor room will be back again. There's optional morning yoga as again. Tons of networking opportunities, and there will be a banquet again on the Saturday evening at the hotel there at the Best Western. We also have an incredible lineup of pre and post conference workshops taking place between September 8 through 10 and September 14 through 17. We only have 2 workshop locations this year just to condense everything down a bit more. So it will be here at Upwards Art and then also at Grey Bruce Makers. So each location has spots for 2 concurrent workshops at any given time. So go on our website and see all the workshops and the presentation descriptions. It's quite amazing. We're especially excited to welcome Amanta Scott as our 2026 keynote speaker. Amanta is an internationally exhibiting multidisciplinary artist whose work explores storytelling, mythology, feminism, identity, and social issues through installation, performance, and encaustic work. Some of the artists involved in today's exhibition are also part of the conference community as presenters, instructors, and also as attendees. You can learn more about the conference, the workshops, and the registrations on our website, which is encausticconference.ca. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Our handles are at Encaustic Conference, and subscribe to our mailing list. That's the best way to learn about things that are happening like immediately. Yeah, so, and so that you don't miss future calls for exhibitions and also announcements about the conference. Thanks, Ruth. Ruth, if you want to do the concluding remarks.
Do I have remarks?
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm sorry, I've lost my remarks.
Would you like me to read them?
Yes, please. I don't know where they've gone.
Okay. Pretend this is Ruth speaking.
I found them. I found them.
Okay.
On behalf of the Canadian Encaustic Conference Organizing Committee, thank you so much to all of today's participants for sharing your work, your stories, and your creative process with us. And thank you to everyone who joined us today to come together as a community. One of the goals of the Canadian Encaustic Conference has been always to help foster connection and community within the encaustic world. Gatherings like this remind us how meaningful those creative connections can be. We encourage everyone to spend more time with the full online exhibition and continue to explore the remarkable range of work included in the Come Together exhibition. We hope to see many of you in Owen Sound for the 2026 Canadian Encaustic Conference. And thank you again for being here today. Have a wonderful afternoon or evening wherever you're joining us from, and happy creating.